Hello, my name is Clara, and this is the story of how I learned that blood ties don't always mean family. If you've ever felt invisible to the people who should see you most clearly, this story is for you. I stood alone in the magnificent Willow Grove Estate bridal suite, staring at the woman in the mirror. My custom-made satin gown fit like a dream, the lace intricate and perfect. The makeup artist had created pure magic. I felt beautiful, radiant, and ready. Today was supposed to be the absolute culmination of happiness. Yet, for the 10th time in as many minutes, I checked my phone. No texts, no calls, a profound, aching silence from my parents and my older brother, Victor. The wedding coordinator, Eliza, tapped on the door. Her professional smile was tight, strained by shared awareness. "It's time, Clara." My gaze fixed on the window overlooking the vineyard ceremony. 70 guests were seated in crisp white chairs. A string trio was playing Vivaldi. But in the very first row, 3 chairs stood starkly empty. They confirmed my worst fear with devastating clarity. "They aren't coming, are they?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper, a sound raw with 2 decades of suppressed disappointment. Eliza offered a weak consolation. "We still have a few minutes for a miracle, dear." I smoothed the silk of my dress. A deep breath steadied me. "Let's go." Walking down the aisle alone, I felt the audience's pitying glances, gentle nudges of sympathy that made my skin crawl. I focused entirely on David, my fiancé, who was waiting at the altar. When I finally reached him, he took my hands, his grip firm, warm, and wonderfully reassuring. "I'm right here, my love," he murmured, his eyes steady on mine. "We are enough." More than enough, his presence was a shield against the crushing memory of my mother's voice just days ago. "Victor has an important firm event that weekend, dear. It's just not convenient for the family to travel my wedding, deemed inconvenient." All my life, I'd been conditioned to seek their approval. While my parents celebrated Victor's every minor achievement, the Little League trophies, the student council election, my own successes were met with profound indifference. "Victor is ambitious, Clara. He's the one who needs the spotlight. You're always fine on your own," my father had always rationalized. I internalized that message, believing I had to achieve extraordinary things just to warrant a fleeting glance. I chased academic awards, won prestigious scholarships, and launched a company. Each success a silent, desperate plea. "Look at me. See me." But standing there, exchanging vows with David, I realized I was finally choosing a future built on genuine, unconditional love, not desperate conditional earning. When the ceremony concluded, David's mother embraced me, the warmth of her hug a balm to my soul. "Welcome to the family, sweet girl. You belong with us now." The lifelong knot in my chest eased, the first sign of a painful chapter closing. 2 years later, I sat in my sleek, high-rise CEO office, gazing at the news release. Viridian Studios acquired for $25 million. It was the absolute validation of my 5 years of relentless solitary effort. Validation in 8 figures. My core team burst in with champagne. My creative director, Jenna, raised her glass with fierce loyalty. "To Clara, the one who built an empire without a single handout, all while certain people clearly weren't paying attention." As we celebrated, my phone buzzed. A social media notification. Victor's post about his children's exclusive school fundraiser. I clicked it. A compulsion I couldn't resist. There they were. My parents radiating over-the-top pride, flanking Victor and his wife Sarah. Their twin children in immaculate, expensive uniforms. The captions spoke of multi-generational tradition and prestige. Photo after photo documented their extravagant lifestyle, exotic international trips, a massive home in the most exclusive part of the state, a lifestyle entirely subsidized by my parents' retirement savings, as I knew from occasional family gossip. My $25 million success, meanwhile, was met with total silence. I locked my phone, the anger cold and solid in my gut. Enough was enough. The next morning, I purchased a stunning high-performance Crimson Velocity sports car. It was completely unnecessary, utterly extravagant, and precisely what I wanted. A symbol of my financial power and independence. I posted a single high-definition photo of it on my drive with a simple declarative caption. Success is earned, not given. 3 days later, my phone rang. Mum calling. Clara, we need a family meeting, immediately. Tomorrow. Her voice, a chilling mix of urgency and command, cut through the years of silence. A family meeting? I replied, the cold calm in my voice surprising even me. After 5 years of zero contact, suddenly I'm family again? It's critical, Clara. Financial complications have arisen. We need to discuss it as a family. Your father insists. They saw the car. They smelled the money. The timing was too perfect. Tomorrow at 2, I agreed, then hung up. I drove my Crimson Velocity to my childhood home the next day. The drive was a 40-minute internal reckoning of past rejections. My parents greeted me at the door. Their shock at the sight of my 6-figure car was palpable. You've done remarkably well for yourself, Clara, Dad stated, his voice a calculated assessment, completely devoid of warmth. In the dining room, Victor and Sarah sat waiting, wearing expressions of calculated concern. Let's review the financials, Dad began, sliding folders across the table. I remained standing. Before we do, I want to know why I'm here. My wedding wasn't important. My company launch wasn't important. Why the sudden interest in my attendance? Clara, we can address old grievances later, Mum dismissed, her old tone of control resurfacing. We have an urgent matter of the household. I disagree. This is the urgent matter. I sat down, meeting my father's gaze evenly. I built everything myself. Every award, every client. Where were any of you during the struggle? You were always so independent, Dad sighed, the justification worn smooth with 2 decades of repetition. Victor needed us to focus on his potential. And that potential has led to foreclosure, I stated, my voice steady. Victor's mortgage is delinquent. His children's tuition is due. Victor slammed his hand down, his face flushing crimson. We're family, Clara. You have to step in. When one of us succeeds, we support the others. That's the agreement. Where were you at my wedding? I asked again, the question now a precise weapon. It was financially and logistically unavoidable, Mum whispered, trying to garner sympathy. Was it? I folded my hands on the polished mahogany. You weren't there for my life, so you don't get to share in what that life has built. Tell me why I should write a check today. Victor pointed frantically at the loan papers. Blood is thicker than water. You owe us as your family. I stood up slowly, pulling a document from my briefcase. I have made a different decision about how I allocate my resources. I placed the paper on the table. This is the incorporation for the Mira Foundation, I announced, watching their eyes widen. A $16 million endowment to provide substantial scholarships for young women in digital arts. Named after Professor Mira, the teacher who championed my talent when you wouldn't silence descended, heavy and absolute. 16 million, Victor choked, the number physically painful to him. The funds are secured in a legal trust, approved by a 12-person board of directors last week, I confirmed. I'm helping young women who need someone to invest in them. That is what family means to me now. Intentional support. You're wasting it on strangers, Victor yelled, the veneer of composure finally gone. On nobody girls who deserve better than what I got, I finished, snapping my briefcase shut. My parents sat stunned. I picked up my phone, turning the screen toward them. A recording app was active. I've also documented this entire meeting, including every manipulative message, just in case anyone attempts legal action against the foundation. I walked to the door. You can't just walk away and abandon us, Victor cried out, his voice cracking with desperation. I paused at the threshold, not turning back. No, Victor. What you needed was to show up. That was the price of my presence, and that opportunity is long gone. The door closed, a quiet sound that echoed like a final declaration of independence and self-worth. Driving away, I called David. It's over. They showed exactly who they are, and it was predictable. I'm so proud of you, my love, he said immediately. You handled it with grace and steel. My family's subsequent attempts at communication were relentless, but useless. Victor went to the local news trying to paint me as a villain, but the story backfired dramatically when the reporter revealed my parents' absence at my wedding. The public narrative sided with the self-made woman choosing purpose over obligation. My focus shifted entirely to the Mira Foundation. My first scholarship recipient, a young filmmaker named Maya, reminded me so much of my younger self, driven, talented, and yearning to be seen. I mentored her closely, ensuring she received the unconditional belief I always lacked. 2 years later, accepting a major community leadership award, I looked out at an audience of true peers and supporters. David was beaming. There were no empty seats causing me pain. For years, I measured my worth by the approval I couldn't earn, I told the crowd. Now, I measure it by what we build together, creating a legacy of intentional support. I realized my fundamental truth. Family isn't who raises you, it's who lifts you. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever had to build your own success in the shadow of neglect, please like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to see more stories of strength and self-made success. Thank you for listening.